'Tis the season. This week I'm going to turn a Christmas ornament, a Christmas bell. And the reason I'm showing this video, it is the right time of year, but I also have a bowl on the lathe, which is epoxy, and it's not ready yet. It hasn't quite hardened up enough to finish it, so that may be a little late for this week. So I wanted to do a quick project, again, which is timely. So I started off here. This actually is a mahogany wood. It's actually from Paraguay. I was fortunate to get some scrap lumber from there. It's very, very dry. And you can see here as I'm cutting it, I'm not getting big long shavings. I'm getting sawdust. And again, that's just because the wood is so dry. So I've already rounded it up. This was a square piece of stock. I've rounded it up, and then I'll start shaping the bell. Now I already have done one. You can see that here. I'm holding that up. They don't need to be identical, but I'd like them to be similar. So I put some pencil marks on here just to delineate some major points, such as the top, where the ball is going to be on top of the bell. And also, I like my bells to have a flare down at the rim, which I think is fairly common for a bell shape. And then it'll just a gradual taper from that flare up to the top. Now this is a different turning technique than I normally do with my bowls. This would be more of a spindle turning. And the difference there is it's small and light. This is turning at 1200 RPM, so it's very, very fast. And I also don't have my tailstock engaged. This piece is very light and it's already round, so there's no danger of it flying off. I can hold it quite easily in my chuck. And again, it's turning very, very fast. The other thing that's a little bit different is this project was done almost entirely with a spindle gouge, which is very similar to my bowl gouge, which you normally see me using, except it's only smaller. Now I'm switching to the inside. You're not, unfortunately, going to get to see a lot. This is not very big. It's less than 2 inches in diameter, just for reference. And I could have drilled it out, but I found it just as easy to plunge the spindle gouge straight in and then just work it, expanding that hole that I just created larger and larger until it's full diameter. I should mention this project is very, very thin. Not quite thin enough to pass light, but it is only a few millimeters thick. Pretty well done here now, just doing some final sanding. And here I've taken my V-shape carbide tool and I've just cut 2 very small grooves. And then in those grooves, I'm holding a piece of laminate up. And you can see as I hold it, it starts to smoke. It'll actually burn. And that's what creates those black lines at the bottom of the bell. The formaldehyde samples you can get free at the hardware store. And I find it just works very well for any decorative burning that you need to do. Some wood turners use a wire. I don't like holding a wire onto my piece. If it ever did catch, it's going to pull it out of your hands. It's going to wrap your piece. So I prefer the laminate. And I also find that, not laminate, sorry, for mica piece. I find that it actually burns better than the wire. So I just turned a little button on top of the bell, And now I'm just using, again, my spindle gouge to part off the bell. So the next step in the process is to turn the clapper. So I'm just starting with, in this case, a contrasting color wood, just to add a little bit of interest. And I turn it down. It's already small. It's probably only a 1/2 inch square, but I turn it down round because I need it to be smaller. And again, just using my spindle gouge. Now, I don't want to go much longer than I have to at this point, because if I were to turn it narrow all the way back, the wood gets thin, it could break, and it also can just flex. So I just turn as much as I need. So here I'm just holding the bell up to get an idea of how long I want the clapper to be. And I want the clapper just to stick out a little bit below the bottom rim of the bell. So up here where my tailstock is, I'm just turning a small ball. I'll leave a piece that's into the live center, so you see there's actually a gap and then the ball, and then that wood will be turned away. Once I get the ball roughly shaped, then I start thinning out the shaft of the clapper. Here I've switched to my skew chisel. I just find that a little bit easier if you want to get a consistent thickness down a long distance. Sometimes with the bowl gouge you can get a bit of a dip and it just gets uneven diameter, where the skew will help clean that up. The next step of the process is the assembly. I just drill a hole down through the bonnet of the bell. I take a copper wire, I wrap it around a nail to make an eyelet, and then I pass the 2 wires ends down through the bell. Once I do that, I insert the clapper and wrap the wire around the clapper itself. Now that I look at this, this is the inside of the bell. It's not actually the one I showed you that I was making. It's a different one, because this does not have the contrasting color to the clapper. Here's the outside of it. You can see the eye hook at the top where I can put a string to mount it on the tree. And you can also see the 2 rings that I burnt in. I think it turned out very well. It's a fun little project to do, and it takes about 15 or 20 minutes in total. Thank you for watching, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas.